Hey guys, welcome in. My name's Coach Chris.
And I'm Tami Tomlinson, owner of Living Life Now.
Welcome to our channel where we discuss.
Integrative approaches and healthier living.
All right, are we good?
We are good.
Good enough? Ish, good-ish enough. Oh, that's good. No, so, but anyways, recently, I've been having conversations with people where I've, like and I'm not a psychologist, I'm a coach, but I've realized like that oftentimes people are spending so much energy trying to be kind that they aren't venting, they're not getting off their chest like what they need to say, nor are they properly communicating. I think a lot of times, unfortunately, people interpret kindness for weakness, and sometimes kindness is just that's what it is. It's weakness, it's because the person is not they're not being kind intentionally. They're being kind out of fear of how the other person's going to respond. And so the person that disrespected them doesn't get the message clearly. And the person that's trying to communicate the message isn't communicating the message emotionally or, like truthfully communicating their emotions
Effectively.
effectively. Recently, like, I'm talking to people and I'm like, well, it's taken a long time for me to build up the level of emotional intelligence that I have. But for myself personally, if I'm dealing with a person that hasn't had that exposure, I'm like, okay, like look right now, you just need to communicate your emotions and let people like know what's going on with you. Because also, in my opinion, the answer isn't just burying your emotions. Because in the future, that person might disrespect you again, either intentionally or unintentionally, and then you're going to explode. And then that's also not fair to them. Even if you can't be 100% kind, you can be 50% kind, but just really get your emotions out. Most of the times, these conversations are dealt with people that we care about, anyways, right? So, I mean, if you can be 50% kind, but like on that other, be a little bit rough, just get the thing off your chest, like don't buffer it so much. Don't worry so much about buffering it. And this also goes to the case that sometimes people just worry too much about buffering things for other people because they don't want to hurt other people's feelings. And again, that tying into something completely different, not weakness, but just, over concern for others. So all these conversations come out of people that are in relationships with people, not like we're not talking about sexual relationships. We're talking about, family relationships, friendship relationships where people are feeling disrespected by, the person.
Or even work relationships.
Yes, work relationships too. Yes, absolutely. Um, where my advice
And
has been,
and to
yes,
go, yeah, to go even a
but
step further, you could say just people that we're encountering, on our day-to-day travels or whatever. We don't there's I think there's a level of being cautious with not being rude, but
right,
still being able to say, "Excuse me, but,"
right,
and
right,
then if you really want to go into it, if we're talking about a conversation with somebody that we know, on a more intimate level, for lack of a different word, versus the person that we encounter on the street, let's say, a
right.
coworker, a family member, whatever, we can use there's a technique called feel, felt, found,
Okay.
and when you're communicating,
Explain.
so I'm going to. So when you're communicating with somebody and they say blah 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 to you and you're like, "Ooh, yeah, I have felt the same way before. This is how I feel. This is what I have found." So when
Right,
you use feel, felt, found, you can say, "You know what? I totally disagree with your thinking on how you need to do it, cleaning the yard. You
right,
shouldn't rake the yard like that. You're making a
right,
mess. It's windy and there's things going everywhere."
right,
And I understand how you feel. It is quite breezy today, but I have found that if I can get a little bit of this done now, then
Right.
there's less to do in the future, or
Yeah,
something like
absolutely.
that. I mean,
Yeah, that's definitely, I can definitely see where that'd be a valuable practice. I will counter that though, like that's again back to what I was saying with emotional intelligence, which, I think that's a great practice.
if you can remember it
Unfortunately,
at that time.
if you can remember at that time, yes, again, that comes back to emotional intelligence, like being able to recognize your triggers, recognize when you're getting angry, um, and went through the practices to respond correctly, like you're saying, and so that you can address it. Um, Again, though, like I think you would probably agree with this, if this is like something that's like, like an ongoing thing, this is something I think where people should actively seek out, a therapist,
Oh,
something
absolutely.
definitely
Absolutely.
qualified,
Mhm.
in the field, um, and how to, better handle the
Right.
situation
To
or
to
why
learn
they,
how to best navigate your feelings, thoughts, emotions with those people,
right,
situations, and circumstances. And then another thing too you could do that popped into my brain is just walk away. Take a step away and go walk around outside for 3 minutes or walk into another room and then come back and, maybe that'll help try to diffuse whatever
right.
was elevating in that conversation. So,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I completely agree with you. Any conversation is better had whenever you're not angry.
mhm, yeah,
Like,
because then we're
um,
using victimizing words when we're angry. You did this, or did.
right.
Yeah, and
Yes,
we
yes,
want
that
to
can
try to
definitely be
avoid
the case.
that.
Yeah, that can definitely be the case. And of course, means being vulnerable. Again, this comes back to emotional intelligence and why, emotional intelligence practices are so, so important, like meditation and journaling and practicing things like you were just talking about your three, we can call them your three F's, um because they better suit you for like these moments when situations arise and kind of you're caught unaware.
Mhm,
Maybe you
mhm.
can't just walk away or and actually like walking away again takes a reasonable amount of emotional intelligence. I think emotional intelligent practices, are such an underrated tool. They're
Mhm,
underemphasized tool.
mhm,
And
mhm,
um and I'm speaking transparently right now as somebody that's dealt with anger for a lot of years. Like I wasn't shown when I was younger how to correctly deal with anger, and why, like, and it took me a long time to sit back and ask myself, well, why am I getting angry about this person or this circumstance? What's going on here?
and sometimes I think too, it's like looking in the mirror, right? Why am I letting myself get upset about this person or, situations? Does that make sense? I mean, it's like I think sometimes, and going back to the work we've done,
Right.
I will look internally, like, what is it that's, for lack of a different word, triggering me to have
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
response to
Right,
this
absolutely.
to this conversation,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Well, it was a fun little short episode and chat on I guess we can say emotional intelligence and communication.
So, real quick though, one last thought. The Ayurveda course that I teach that we have spoken about, previously, there
Correct.
is, as I've mentioned before, a whole section on effective communication. And we talk about, I teach about these types of things, the effective communication and conscious communication, really, and
Right,
victimizing words and words to use when we feel victimized and
right, right.
words to lift people up and that type of thing. But that's probably a conversation for a future podcast chit chat. So yeah, I look forward to sharing more on that with everybody. So great chat today, great talk. Emotional intelligence and the 3 F's: feel, felt, found.
Sounds good. All right, next
Always,
time.
always a pleasure. Thank you.
See you guys.